Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have an interesting topic. I want to fix my ex, and I actually have a story that someone sent in. That's quite a long story, but it's a public response story. So they sent in their story, paid $25, and I will unpack it fully and completely. And cheers to them to share their story, and also the fact that this individual really wrote the story in detail. So if you go to my site, writemac.com, and you want to get my take on your story, it's worth taking the time to write out the story. There's so many people that actually just send me a text message on Instagram or a quick email, and they're like, hey man, I need help with my ex. I need help with my breakup. I like your channel. She left me last week. She hates me. I want her back. What should I do? It's like, what the fuck? I need the details. I need to know what's going on. I'm not just going to be able to, that kind of information, you can go on YouTube and someone will give you some general information. That's not my approach. Send your story in, write it out, take some fucking time with it, which this individual did. Sit down with it. You don't have to be a good writer. English doesn't even need to be your first language, but you have to sit down and go, okay, let me take it from the top. I got instructions on my website, and the people that have written their story and sent it in, they always tell me usually, wow, this was therapeutic just to write the story out. I never put it in sequence, like what happened first, how I'm feeling, what went down, because what you keep doing is you just keep throwing out feelings, little bits and pieces, little, I hate her, she hates me, I just want her back. That doesn't get to the bottom of things. That's not going to help you out. You need to find out what the story is you're telling, and that's your interpretation. That's the most important thing. If you like this live stream, throw it a like. If you don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. At least have an opinion. Put a not like. If you want to subscribe. A little bit of a raspy voice today, but we're going to deal with it. So fixing your ex, do you have the tools, would be question number one. So I'm going to get into the story in about, 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm going to unpack just the idea of, I want to fix my ex, fixing your ex. Obviously, I've had over 800 videos. I've talked about this subject before, but let's get into it today. And fixing your ex, do you have the tools? This is a really good analogy of the situation, because fixing involves tools, right? It's like, do you have the ability? I come across this all the time because there's a lot of people with mental health issues. I'm not a mental health expert. I don't know the ins and outs of depression, bipolar. People come to me sometimes and they mention some cluster B or one of these. I don't know a lot about that, and it's very valuable if you're someone that's a coach or a close friend to just admit when you don't know something about something. It's like, I don't know a lot about that. And then you ask the individual, so how do you classify it, or what do you know about it? It's a good way to learn rather than try to just off the cuff help someone when you don't know about that topic. So do you have the tools, number one? Most of the time when people are dealing with, and this is the thing that comes up a lot, there's PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, there's depression, anxiety, cluster B, bipolar, all these things come up, right? And then the other part of that is, are you diagnosing that from the internet, or did the doctor say that this was what was true? So do you have the tools? And what I would say is, for starters, do you have any experience with it? So have you, if let's just go into depression, right? Someone's like, oh, I've been depressed before. And someone else is like, no, you haven't had depression like this. This is like serious depression. You can't, you know what I mean? So when you get into it, the next thing would be, have you fixed someone with this problem? Most people would probably say no. And that's a reality check really quick. Did you have a friend or family member? I've had a lot of people go, well, my mom was like this, or my friend was like this. Did you fix them? Or did you just know about it? Because the thing is, you might know about it from your experience, but you still weren't able to fix them. Individuals with issues like this, there's different things that work for different people. And first and foremost, I think you have to want to fix it. And then when people give you suggestions or things to do, try them. A lot of people don't do because they're like, oh yeah, no, I didn't do that. I didn't try it. Did you try what I asked you to try though? No, I didn't do it. Okay, well then you're not really making an effort. You're staying in the same place. And if you go online, there's all kinds of things that they suggest and whatnot. And if you're not going to make an effort, to say, I don't want to be this way anymore, I'm open, you can be skeptical to things that might work. It's like, let's just think about a diet, right? Someone could go, man, I've tried everything. I can't lose weight. Someone goes, hey, man, try this. I've heard of this carnivore diet where you just eat meat. Now, that doesn't sound, Danny's looking at me like, what the hell? Yeah, it's true. Jordan Peterson, who's a famous psychologist, he did it for a while. I don't know. But if there was things that, if I was having trouble losing weight and I tried a bunch of different things, you could go, I don't think that's going to work, but fuck it, I'll try it. I'll give it a month. And he did a month of it. I don't think he did it to lose weight. It was something to do mentally or something like that. But I'm saying, are you willing to try the things that, you could be skeptical, like, I'm not sure if that'll work, but you know what? I'm open because I don't want to feel this way. Someone said this worked for them, so I'll try it. That's a difference between like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. When someone does like that shit, it's like, well, then you don't want to change. You want to go around telling everyone your problem, and you have some kind of idea that, it's not ever going to go away, but you're not trying things. So are they trying things? And even if the things that they're trying don't work, at least there's an effort where you're like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. So do they want help? Seems like the obvious question. But I would say they might say yes, but what are they doing action-wise? Because these kinds of disorders and traumatic experiences, they're going to take work. Someone's not going to be able to just, I think what people do when they're boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, whatever, and they're in a relationship, they think they can have a sit-down chat and it's going to go away. Like, we had a really good talk about it. She knows I care about her. She has depression. I'm there for her. I told her, I'll be there. That's not going to fix the fucking problem. It's going to make her feel good in the moment. It's going to make you feel good that you were there. But depression, post-traumatic stress, those things, and again, I'm not an expert, but those things take a lot more work than you just having a talk. And I think people get confused about being empathetic, compassionate, and willing to help with the idea that it's going to be an ongoing thing that has triggers. So people that have a lot of problems, they have things where like they're doing great and all of a sudden, bam, they're back in the zone of being depressed or sad or angry, whatever it is. Let's do the opposite of depression. People with a bad temper, right? I don't know if we have a comment for that, but there's some people that just lose it. My dad was like that when I was young. He could, like, in a millisecond, you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Why is this guy so angry? Triggers. Something happened in the outside environment that had nothing to do with you or anything like that. And you're like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And they go back into that mode, back into that person that's sad or upset or angry. For example, my dad had PTSD from Vietnam War. Random thing. I remember when I was a kid, there was my mom and they had another couple that were friends. They were in a hot tub, and the hot tub had lights, like different color lights. You know what I'm talking about? Like it would be, and I guess the lights flashed, and the lady that was the other lady that was in the hot tub, she kept moving her feet from the light, so the light would flash kind of. And my dad was like, "Stop doing that, please. I don't like that," because it reminded him of something of the war with flashing light. And she thought it was funny. And it really pissed him off. And, ruined that they're in the hot tub, hanging out, whatnot. And she, made a big deal out of it, made a joke out of it. My point is, how does that woman know that what that feels like? That she just looks at it like, this is silly. What are you getting upset about hot tub lights? And he's sitting there thinking, oh, I'm back in Vietnam when incoming stuff was coming in or something like that. So people really can't relate, even though they try. They go, well, I want to help you, but they can't relate sometimes. That's the part where people get frustrated. But the triggers are the elephant in the room, because you don't know what the triggers are. And sometimes people don't, unless they get professional help and really unpack what's going on with them, they don't know the triggers. They just know, like, all of a sudden I feel shitty again. All of a sudden this came back to me. A lot of times it's a trigger. Are they attached to this identity do they get an extra attention from it as an excuse? Now, this is a sensitive topic because some people be like, oh, that's bullshit. I know people growing up that would have quote unquote ADD, attention deficit disorder, and they would brag how they would get to take special tests, and that was the reason they didn't do good on tests. So what I mean by special tests, they would get to take the test and use the book or something like that, and they would use this all the time. There was an individual, and usually these were people that their parents had money, and to me it came off as, oh, Johnny doesn't get good grades, so he must have ADD, he must have a problem we need to fix, and so because he doesn't get good grades, he needs special attention. And sometimes it would, because when I was a kid, there was a few kids that had like ADD. They were hyper, man. Like they couldn't sit still in class. They were all over the place. Like you could tell they had a problem and shit. Now you meet some people that are like, yeah, I have ADD, and I'm like, really? Like I don't hold my attention well sometimes. I mean, it's different than, being like full on, right? So I think that what I'm saying is some people take the identity of some things and they don't even know it, but it becomes like their name. Like I'm Mac, I'm Coach Mac, I'm a teacher, this is part of my identity. My name has when someone calls my name. Now, when someone says I have depression, they're saying like, my name's Mac, I have like, in other words, I have this, and then it's like it's a part of who you are. And so even when they're working on getting rid of it, some people don't want to give it up because it's actually a part of them. It's kind of a weird counterintuitive thing because they identify with it. And so I noticed this, there's a really good book called Healing Hands by William Bankston. And he talks about this. This is a totally different topic, but one of the most interesting books I've ever read. He does energetics, things where you use energy in your hands, and he basically had studies where they healed cancer. So cancer is one of those things, again, not a doctor, not a specialist, not an expert, but cancer is one of those things you've heard of people like it went away, right? Someone has cancer and they're like, it's gone. And the doctor would be like,
surprise.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what happened, right? You were supposed to die 2 weeks ago. So he was saying that some people, when that happens, get upset. Like there's something wrong because, hey man, like I've been telling everyone I have cancer and now I don't have it. It doesn't make sense. Like they can't believe it. They can't embrace it because, excuse me, because it's a part of them. It's been a part of their life for a long time. And so that's another thing. If people go around and they embrace it, it doesn't mean they're bad people or victims. I think that it becomes a part of your life. And it's the same thing when someone goes around and says, oh, I'm poor, I've always been poor, I never make money, you're going to make that fucking true all day, every day. You have to change your mindset if you want to do better. Is there a point where you go, okay, the same shit keeps coming up, I can't fix it? This is a really good point. So you're in a relationship, your partner has, I just keep using depression because it's one of the most common ones that comes up. But depression, to be fair, there's different levels of it, right? Like you can't just say, and that's where I wouldn't know what but there's different levels of it. There's people that have manic depression, different kinds of things. So it's very broad to just say depression, but I'm going to use it because a lot of people send me stories and talk to me about that their partner has depression. A lot of times, to me, the people that talk about their partners, it's a form of depression that's on and off again. But depression, anxiety. My question is, let's say you're together for 2 years. You're in a relationship for 2 years. You battle with your partner's anxiety because she could never please her father. She doesn't do well enough in college. The list goes on. This comes up a lot. And she's unhappy with her job, ... And you're there for her. You help her. You're there for her. You help her. And then it gets to a point where you're like 2 years down the road, you're like, is anything working? Am I just a crutch? Am I like, because when you want to help someone, you want to be there for them, but you don't necessarily want to do it in a sense like, this is going to be like this forever? I mean, if it's a fixable thing, right? Is there a point where you go, the same shit keeps coming up, I can't fix it? And that's a fork in the road where you got to go, do I want to deal with this? The other thing is timing. Timing has to do with, are they ready to deal with the problem up front in their life right now? A lot of times people in their early 20s, maybe they don't have the resources, the money, the time to deal with it. But then they get to the late 20s, maybe they get a better job, maybe they just get sick of it. So they have a different timing of when it's going to be good or bad for them to fix whatever problem they have. All right, we got Nalini Maraj. Hi, Mac. My ex gets upset because I can't say I love you. I can't means I won't. So a lot of times people say I can't. You can't go without eating, sleeping, and drinking water, or you'll probably die. But everything else in the world, you can kind of do it. You just have a choice, right? I mean, there's certain things ability-wise you can't do. Maybe you can't run a mile in 4 minutes or things like that. But if you train for it, when you say I can't say I love you, that's something that you can't do because something in your past tells you can't. So there's a seed there that's grown that said, Nalini doesn't say I love you because the first time I said I love you to my parents, it wasn't received well. Or when I was a little kid, we didn't say I love you. That's where that comes from, and you need to find out where it comes from and reframe that memory. He said he loved me but won't apologize. Isn't that fake? What won't he apologize for? It's his birthday tomorrow. Should I wish him a happy birthday? What's your intentions on wishing him a happy birthday? Have you sent your story in before, Nalini? You sound familiar. What's up, Rob? Good to see you. Derek D. Azam, always a pleasure. We got 5 on deck, 2 likes. I got a story here, a long story that we're going to get into that is on topic. So this is why I came up with this topic today, actually. Any comments, Aleph, 23, with all your wisdom about fixing someone? Have you been in a situation where you wanted to fix someone that was your partner?
I'm trying, but it's not working.
You tried to fix someone?
Yep.
What was their problem?
Like,
excuse me.
About my ex, like...
Was it depression or like a problem like that or alcohol?
No, it's not. It isn't a problem like that. It's like the problem of just done playing a phone all the time. Yeah.
Stop playing on your phone all the time. So a bad habit that you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that that's underrated because like there are people that are phone addicts, and if you're out eating or you're doing something like, I think that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that you're gonna playing your phone, but when just spending time together, just could leave it for a while. Like that. I
think that's going to be a big problem in the future. I don't know if they have a name for it, like phone addiction or something like that, but it'll be a problem. It's like I was at a coffee shop 2 or 3 days ago that's I don't want to say fancy, but like art style, kind of cool inside, you know. Mm-hmm. And everyone in there, dude, it was just amazing, was taking like 15, 20 pictures before they had a drink of their coffee because it's that kind of place. But it was kind of like, geez. And the thing is, they got dressed up, dude. Like, you could see that these people got dressed up to go to this place. Mm-hmm. Like, they were ironed. Like, and they literally all took their pictures before they had a sip of coffee.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's just Thailand or Asia, because Asia, most of the people really like to take pictures here. I get it. But, I mean, this was like, it was a production, dude. And we're talking about, you know, taking a picture with a little piece with coffee and a little piece of cheesecake, like 15 photos, like redoing it, posting it, checking it afterwards, and then didn't even eat the food for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? It's just like fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That if I had a girlfriend, first of all, it wouldn't be a girlfriend. If I dated someone like that, it would be done very quickly. It'd be like, I don't mind, you value pictures, you want to take a couple photos or something? All right, fine. I'm not really big on it, but like 15, 20 minutes of food and shit? No. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to take an impressive photo of like you got a lobster or you got some really cool food, take one. Mm-hmm. Take one, but like posing with it against the wall, being dramatic and shit in a fucking coffee shop, it's a little much. It's a little fake, dude. It's like you're making a music video in the coffee shop or something, like against the wall. All right, anyhow, let's get into this story. Hey, so let me timestamp this so we know exactly where it's at. 20 minutes, 1948. Okay. Yep. Okay, so we got, hey, Coach Mac, been following you on YouTube for a while before we happened to cross paths on Instagram. I'm not going to say his name. This was a 2-year relationship I was in until September 11th, 2020. Everyone knows September 11th is a pretty significant date, actually. This was a 2-year relationship I was in until September 11th. Good way to start it, to let me know a timestamp on how long you were together and when it ended. So around early September of 2018, I'd begun speaking to a girl on Facebook who happened to also be a libertarian. I was a meme lord at this time. I'm not familiar with a meme lord. And she always shared great ones herself. The traction started immediately after about 2 weeks of consistent messaging. We began texting each other and calling. We really enjoyed each other's sense of humor. She had moved back to her parents days before I had messaged her. A relationship had ended with a drug-abusing schizophrenic with whom she had to be the strong one taking care of them. Okay, so her prior boyfriend was drug-abusing schizophrenic. Wow. Okay. That's going to cause problems in the relationship in the future because you're not, she's not going to have the same playbook she ran with this other guy. We decided after her having some decompression time, good word, time that we wanted to get together and have an official date. So on January 28, 2019, we met in Minneapolis and spent the fun-filled weekend. It felt like such an easy and natural love. I asked her if she was interested in becoming official, and she had told me prior she wanted to be asked in person. So I did. Quick yes from her. She shared her need to be away from family, wanted to leave her home state. She was feeling relied upon financially and worked a job that was not taking good care of their nursing staff and healthcare facilities. She wanted to find better. Cool. Well, I happen to have a house and I rent here in Minnesota. So I asked her if she would be interested in moving in. Okay. The part I like about this whole thing is I don't like when you meet someone long distance, but the fact that you were able to close the distance and become a real relationship pretty quickly. And you moved in quickly together, but you know what? If you had feelings for each other, the opportunity was there, go for it. See what happens. It would give her the chance to just enjoy life a bit. I would say that, not being able to date a little bit prior to moving in together might be jumping too quick into things, but it could work. It would give her a chance to just enjoy a bit of life, find a good job at a leisurely pace, and I work 2 jobs to meet all my needs, so no need for her to worry. I take care of business. Go for you. That's a good feeling. While together, she opened up about having depression and some anxiety. Also, that she had been sexually abused by a family member and had a rape experience at 18. This is amazing. And what can only be described as a very rough, abusive, from gaslighting ex who led to believe her only vow was her intimacy for him. I heard this and felt that well. I don't know what you mean by that. I am nothing like these men. I am low maintenance, loving, and supportive. She has nothing to fear from me. I'll love her now how she needs to be loved and help build her up like a partner should. Well, those are great words. It's admirable. It's commendable. That being said, all those things, she probably needs serious therapy to get through some of those things, to get to the bottom of them. You can do all those things that you just mentioned and still have problems with an individual like this, because those kinds of things that happen to her, as much as you care, it's going to be really difficult for you to erase those things. She's going to have to get therapy. Rosanna, we're talking about can you fix an ex, and I'm actually unpacking a real story right now. Lost my spot there. Needless to say, emotional ups and downs began not long after she moved in March of 2019. There were my fun, great family and friends she introduced to who wanted to spend time with her, especially while I was working. But she stayed recluse. Even my family was on the block and asked her to come have coffee and enjoy others' company. Well, to be honest, some people aren't really quick to melt in with someone's family members when they're together. Sometimes people go, my family's really cool. I don't understand why you're not closer to them. Some people, it's not that easy for them. It takes more time, and this could probably be the case. But she stayed home depressed. This eventually led me to stop going out myself. I'm quite social man, never flirtatious, but loyal to a fault. Why would be loyal to a fault? That wouldn't be a fault, would it? I would occasionally like being with coworkers or friends at the bar. That even was halted as I didn't want to leave her sad and alone at home. Well, what you didn't anticipate is the fact that you told her to come live with you. But if she had a job in nursing, it was probably a big part of her identity and something that made her feel good about herself. So I'm assuming once she got her job back, she'd feel a lot better. I asked her what she felt she needed as a partner from me. She said, a partner who can listen to her and feel empathy, not try and fix her, but who can give her the love and attention she didn't get from her exes. I was up for the challenge, but with time, my listening also became me suggesting that I didn't want to see her stuck in depression and sadness. Well, earlier she says, don't try to fix me. So that tells me that she doesn't feel like the situation can be fixed. She just wants someone to listen and feel for her. Those are her words, right? So you're like, oh, I want to fix her though. She's saying she doesn't want you to. That's where you're going to, that's where you're going to run into some friction. I'd rather see her thrive and work through it. You'd rather see that. She's never said that. I suggested counseling, suggested I would join or go myself, and made her feel less alone. I just wanted to see her happy and not held down. Again, I. This led to a ton of resistance. And why do you think she has resistance here? That would be the question that, you talk to a therapist or someone. She's telling you, don't try to fix me, because she has it under her mind. This can't be fixed. I just want you to listen and feel sorry for me and feel empathy. And you're saying, oh, let's fix this. Let's fix this. I think it would be better for her. Not her words. She came at me shortly after as if I never listened to her and only wanted to fix. Okay, so again, you do want to fix things. You do want her to be more happy. But here's the thing. What's your definition of happy and what's her definition of happy? What's your definition of things getting fixed and what's her definition of things fixed? This is what people always do. Oh, if she does this, this, and this, then things will be fixed. For you, for your ideal. And I think in her mind, she's like, this is unfixable. This is just going to be an ongoing battle where sometimes I cry and sometimes I'm sad. And I've dealt with it and I know how to deal with it. So can you deal with it? This wasn't the case, and I never played upon her history. I tried giving exactly what she said she needed at my own expense and peace even. So that's a big statement that you're saying, at my own expense and peace even, that you feel like you sacrificed a piece of you to appease or make her more happy, and it didn't work. So that grows contempt, and that can lead to a breakup. I love her deeply and did pay her bills while she was searching for work. She wanted to work for the Mayo Clinic, but was worried it would take forever and they'd never hire her. So she was about to settle for another clinic. I told her, no, I want you to wait and get your dream job. Well, that's nice. Do not settle. It's about building a future together, and I will pay everything until she gets that job. And she did. Her happiness picked up quite a bit, so she got the job. Great. Although when not working, she was still very sad. Holed up in the house. We got out and had quite a bit of fun. We had much more in common hobby-wise, food-wise. We would frequently drive to the other cities and visit breweries. She began telling me I'm her rock, that I'm the strength she needed. This remained until around Thanksgiving 2019. She seemed kind of distant for about a week. So here's the thing. I don't know why it was this time frame, but there's something to the fact that, about a week before Thanksgiving, if she had issues with her family, you mentioned she had issues with her grandfather, there's probably a trigger there that when Thanksgiving comes up, it makes her feel icky or sad or upset, and it reminds her of something. Okay, that would be my guess. Dealing with people in the past, this is when you go like, what's wrong? But you're like, it was just around Thanksgiving. Why is that? Well, you said earlier she has a bad relationship with her grandfather. He sexually abused her. Maybe this was a time that happened. I don't know. But this is how these things work, where you're like, everything was fine, and then Thanksgiving happened. She was all upset. I don't understand. She seemed kind of distant for about a week. I asked her why. She felt cold lately, to which she said she's flying to Florida to spend Thanksgiving with her family, and she felt unsure about her feelings at that time. So Thanksgiving triggered something about her family. It was difficult while she was gone. I hardly got a text. So I called a couple times to make sure she was okay, but it came off as an annoyance. This made no sense. I was never overbearing. Says you. Again, whenever you start the sentence with I, this is what you believe. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's not what she's feeling. Never looked through her phone, smothered her. I was very free and uncomplicated partner. Very trusting, but this threw me for a loop. We still went on dates and little trips together. Romance didn't seem off, as I always got her bluesing and swooning. Maybe blushing. The summer we had driven to... You give yourself quite a few pats on the back. This guy talks about himself very highly, huh? Good for you, man. A lot of confidence. That summer we had driven to Florida to pick up her dog, and her family and friends loved me. I had nothing but good to say. So what happened? Question mark. I learned more about the family dynamic. They were very poor growing up. Often their electricity was shut off. Parents always in and out of work. Huge stoners. Never knew if rent would be paid. They were evicted a few times as kids. On top of all of that, no emotional support. It was awkward for them. So how do you know all of this would be my question. Zero emotional. It was awkward for them. My ex, he writes a name, was a chubby kid. Her mom would give her workout videos to do while she was gone. So it instilled in her the idea that her body wasn't good enough then. This led into high school. She would use bulimia and stress eat, got no attention from boys and made fun of her often. And the abuse she had suffered as well as her sister, when presented to their mom, she didn't believe them. They didn't feel comfortable or safe enough to even tell their parents. So you got a lot of stuff here. And this is one of those things, you don't have the tools. You care, you have the love, but she needs to meet you halfway on the bridge, and you need to find a coach, a therapist, or both to really unpack this thing. I would highly recommend EFT, emotional freedom technique, hypnotherapy, but she has to want to do those things. You can't force feed someone therapy or these ideas. And again, she could be skeptical. A lot of these things too, if she's a shameful person, she might be embarrassed to talk to someone about this stuff. But at what point do you do your best? You really do your best, but at a certain point, she's got to meet you halfway on the bridge and go, yeah, I really want some help. You're willing to help her, but you're not going to be the one to fix these things. And she doesn't want you to fix them. And that's why you have outside sources like therapists or coaches that can help an individual like this. They don't like to share every tidbit with you. Fast forward on the phone, Thanksgiving night, I over-pursued on the phone and said we had put time and effort into something beautiful, that we had changed. She said didn't know what she wants, that she's questioning if she wants us and doesn't know if she's in love. I said, well, let's try and ignite the fire again. And it wasn't as if our love was that routine or boring. Well, if you know you love her, that's got to be a needle to the heart. If you know that you have those strong feelings and she goes, well, I don't know if I love you, you got to take a step back and go, wait a minute. You know what I mean? You're putting your heart out on a clothesline. Someone says, you seem to love her a lot. You seem to be doing a lot of things for her, that you care about her. You're paying the bills. You supported her on getting a new job that's her dream job. You got her move in with you. You've done a lot of stuff, right? And along the way in this story, you're patting yourself on the back because you're like, you know you're a good guy. You know you're a good boyfriend from what you've wrote in the story. But the reality is, after all this, I don't know if I love you. Really? So what's it going to take? My guess, she probably doesn't love herself. So a lot of times women like this, they get in good relationships with good guys and they sabotage them because they feel like you're going to break up with me at some point, or I'm used to so much drama in my life. This doesn't seem like this is going to work. So it sounds weird because you're like, I'm the best boyfriend she's ever had. Yeah, but that's not what she's used to dealing with. Personally, she seemed to be missing her family more. The cold of Minnesota was bothering her too. She was acting like someone who was burned out that I didn't recognize. She was so cold, I didn't recognize her. I don't think the weather was as much an issue as her being triggered by something. Okay? And if she really wanted to, she could say like, look, because it seems like how much you love her and how accommodating you've already been. If she really wanted to, she could go, hey, look, hon, I want to move back to Florida. It's warmer. Would you consider that? That would be a relationship thing. You don't have to move there, but that would be, your partner can go, look, I miss the warm weather of Florida. Would you consider moving back to Florida with me? Just complaining about it as if it can't be fixed. No bueno. She returned from Florida. We had fun for a few days, no issues. We rarely fought, but the first week of December, she told me she felt she loves me, but is nothing, but is not in love, and this wasn't working. Oh, but is not in love. This guy forgot to put spaces in. But is not in love, and this wasn't working. So this is the classic, I love you, but I'm not in love, which a lot of times means I'm not attracted to you. A lot of times it means I'm not attracted to you. In this particular case, from where you stand, you sound like you're a gold medal boyfriend. You've done everything above and beyond. And then you get this thing where I'm not in love. You got to ask yourself at that point, like, oh, what do I have to do? Fuck no. You got to go, wow. Still not enough? You got to take some inventory and go, I'll take a step back on this. You got to have some balls and some dignity at this point and go, this wouldn't be bailing on her. This wouldn't be not being caring or listening. She just told you, I love you, but I'm not in love. And this wasn't working. After all the things that you've mentioned and all the things that you've gone out of your way for, this isn't enough. I'm not telling you to be angry, but I'm telling you to take some fucking inventory. Take a few steps back. Don't try to get her back. Ask yourself, wait a minute. I do all this stuff. Is there a woman out there that's equal or higher value that would appreciate what I've done and who I am? Good fucking question. Wasn't sure what she was going to do, but would move out if I wanted her to. I told her there was no way she'd find a place mid-December that would allow a dog. Well, that's just you. That's just you hoping and wishing that she wasn't going to have that ability. Is it possible? Yeah, it probably would be possible. And not have her sign a lease only to move within a month or two. I told her she could stay with me and save. Okay, just realize that you offered that and don't bring it up later on like, oh, I'm such a good person and she still left me. We continued to just live, and for the most part, life was normal. She said she loved me often, would cry. I think me still loving and kind to her was hard, but I always wanted to love on her, build her up. My feelings never changed. Hers did, but they would also come and go. And that's what it sounds like. Your version of love is something that's solid. You probably have a really good relationship with your parents. You're able to hold love. For her, something goes wrong, she has a bad day, and she starts questioning everything. And you might be thinking like, but why? Because you're different people with different life experiences. That's the part you'll never fucking change. That's the part where she'd probably need some real serious therapy, hypnotherapy, emotional freedom techniques, some of these things out there. If she's not willing to do those things, she's going to come across this again and again. And you're going to be going, well, if I do this, if I do that, it's not about that. It's about her version of what love means to her. And she's flighty and wishy-washy. Some people are like that, especially if you're in your early 20s to mid-20s. A lot of women, are not all, feel like, is this the only guy I'm ever going to be with? Because they're at the peak of their looks. They're getting attention other places. And sometimes they could be wishy-washy or flighty, I call it. And it's very common because society's changed in the Western world. People 24, 25 aren't looking to get married. My grandfather's generation, you're 24, 25, you're not married yet? Something's wrong. You know? So things have changed. But they would also come and go. She would often tell me how I was too good to her. That's a big statement. That means that, translation, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. She didn't deserve.
I don't deserve you. You're too good for me.
Yeah. So when someone says that, the translation means I'm not good enough, or
you can find someone else.
You can find someone else better than me that appreciates me more. That's someone saying that I haven't been treating you well. I know it. Mm-hmm. And they're accepting that. They're like, I know I haven't been good. And that can even come from someone that's confident and cocky that is cheating on you. Someone that's been treating you bad can go, oh, you deserve better than me. They're saying, I haven't been as good to you. Why am I so good after having my heart broken? ? I would tell her because I want to see her needs met, loved. Well, here's the crazy thing, dude, and it's a good thing you wrote your story out, and I appreciate the details that you've put in this. Good job. It's worth the $25, right? Because this is a pretty long story. Your version, I'm going to say it one more time, and definition of love is not the same as hers. So a lot of times we look at words, we go to Webster's dictionary and we look up the word shopping and it'll have a very clear definition. Love's not like that, dude. And so that's where you're going to get hung up, and you're going to be like, well, I just want to love her. Well, what's love mean to you and what's love mean to her? She had parents that she didn't get along with. She had a grandfather that molested her. It's a lot different version of love in her life. There's people that she loved that hurt her. And so she doesn't know how to deal with someone that hasn't hurt her yet. A lot of times people like this want to get out in front of it, and they look for things to not be right when everything seems right. I would tell her because I want to see her needs met, loved, accepted. By the way, this whole time was obsessive about her weight. She had lost a lot prior to us, and it was all she ever thought about. It fluctuated within the same 10 pounds. Our whole relationship was almost the main focus. Again, that's someone with bulimia or a weight issue or obsessed with that. That's not something that you have the toolkit to fix just by saying, oh, honey, you look great. It doesn't work that way. Like you being the boyfriend and going, oh, you look beautiful, this or that. And you think like, oh, I'm making her feel better. It's much deeper than that. She'd have to go to a therapist or a counselor, psychiatrist, whatever, and get to the bottom of that. It would take some deep work. That doesn't just go away. That's a deep-seated belief. And by the way, again, she told you, I don't want you to fix me, I just want you to listen. Fast forward, March arrives, she moved back to Florida, has secured an apartment, transferred to the Mayo Clinic there. Things seemed good. We texted her here and there, but her more than me. I was still who she went to, needed comfort and love from, peace. A month or two passed, and over social media, she saw I was gaining interest from women. This motivated her over a phone call one night to cry and tell me what a mistake she made. How I was the perfect man, and she screwed up so bad with me and wanted another chance. Well, I'm not surprised if you say what you did say in the previous part of this story. Yeah, and this is what people ask me, like, what's the chances of getting back together? They're always better if you had a good relationship, you were a good man or a good woman in the relationship, and you didn't end things in a pathetic, mean, or said something really bad or cut off communication. So I'm not surprised here. I'm not surprised that she got motivated by the social media thing. Very common. But that doesn't let go of the fact that she's still a flighty person, that even if you guys get back together, history does repeat itself. She will run the same playbook on your ass. What I mean by that is that she could get bored again. She could fall out of love again, because there's certain people you meet and you look at how they treat or they've dealt with their family and friends, and they're really loyal. But a friend of mine just told me, well, you've been really lucky. Your last two girlfriends were really good to you and really loyal. That's not a fucking accident. That's something that I filter for. That's something that I look for. That's something that I value. And that's something I can identify. Sometimes people just go, oh, she loves me. We're really good together. But the relationships with other loved ones in her family are going to be the model she runs on with you. Okay, so she was locked into a Mayo Clinic for 2 years, but over a few months we met up in the cities here, spent time. I figured I could sublet my house and move there to be with her. Did she want you to move there? So by August 1st, I did just that, made the drive. Things were a blast the first 3 weeks, then I could see the depression coming. She told me one night after dinner at her parents that she wasn't feeling attracted to me. This made no sense to me. It makes all the sense in the world to me, because she hasn't changed anything about her character, her personality, or her beliefs, her core beliefs. So for her to want you back, this is how your relationship was. It was on again, off again for her, and you were on all the time. And you somehow thought, like, at some point she's going to see the light. Nope. This made no sense to me. The night and days prior, she was all over me physically. Told me at least every other day how handsome I was, always touching me. We had plenty of intimacy, her instigating much of it. We had come home that night. I watched her first walk into the bathroom, stand on her scale, look at herself in the mirror for about 2 minutes before she came out and shared with me. I listened to her and asked if it's because she wanted me to be healthier and lose weight too and begin our carnivore diet together. I just mentioned this. How fucking random is that? I didn't read this story before. I mentioned the carnivore diet. Isn't that fucking random? Carnivore diet means meat diet only.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. And begin our if you watch the beginning of the live stream, I talk about this. Begin our carnivore diet together. She said yes, but I told her I felt she was projecting, which she later admitted frequently. I didn't want to stick around after being made to feel ugly next. So you got made to feel ugly. Next day I packed my truck and was going to leave. You know, having to tell someone repeatedly that they look good as they are. Okay, it's good. I don't know what that's all about. Excellent connection. All right, we're back on deck. Little technical difficulties. This is a hell of a story, by the way. If you got a story to write and you want to get my take, thanks, Night Raven. This is how you want to write out your story. Highly detailed. I mean, we're at the middle part here. So, and begin our carnivore diet together. She said yes, but I told her I felt she was projecting, which she later admitted frequently. I didn't want to stick around after being made to feel ugly. Next day, I packed my truck and was going to leave. She begged me to stay, apologized up and down. See, this is when someone's attracted to drama, too. Said this was the problem. She needed to figure it out. There was nothing wrong with me. There never was anything wrong with you. It's her viewpoint of herself. But begged me not to leave her. At this time, it was stormy and too late to drive. I chose to stay the night. I'd leave in the morning. Through her words, tears, and convincing, I stayed, but I said I would only stay if she spoke to someone because the emotional instability is not healthy and will ruin us. She agreed. That's a fair thing to ask of her. So she had a great next week. Things looked up. I had been trying to stay with a friend in Nashville for a bit to record some music, pursue that dream. Good for you, man. I hope that works out. I don't want to say her name. Was to go with me. She was to go with me, but was awaiting a signing date on a house she got in her name for her parents to move into and pay for. Just right off the bat, if the history of the parents was what it was, that might be a red flag because that means you're going to be involved with those parents for a long time. They don't sound very responsible. That's going to be drama later on. When they passed, it would belong to her. Between that and her work schedule, she couldn't make it, so I left. We had a couple phone calls and texted while I was there. Things seemed great. I returned from the trip. She seemed very tired and kind of down, but we ended up having a great night. Passionate intimacy. We swam in the pool where she spoke of future things like kids and a hobby farm. All seemed so well. The signing happened the day I had a second interview for my job transfer at a job I was getting town. I moved the interview time to drive to sign that morning on the house. To drive her to sign in that morning on the house. She works nights, so we left and we got home. I drove there and back so she could sleep. You do a lot of sacrificing. Good for you, man. A couple more days passed. She still seems typical depression to me, so I gave her a little space to feel her feelings. September 11, 2020, I'm talking with her after a day of running errands and having fun about her plans for the next day, to which she said she's going to help her parents pack the house, which was no big deal. Comment as they were moving, I shared that I'm free to help. She said there's nothing really to do except pack up the kitchen and stack it. Unbeknownst at the time, she was planning to talk to her parents about what had happened while I was gone. Dun, dun, dun. I told her that I'm available to help as her partner. I'm absolutely willing to lend a hand. She said it wasn't much to do, but she was going to mainly help her mom organize things. I said, okay. Asked her if she wanted to join me at the gym and for a swim. She said no thanks. She was going to relax. She had actually called an old friend and shared that she had cheated with a male coworker while I was in Nashville and didn't want to tell me because she was afraid I'd leave. So the old friend told you? Okay. I returned from the pool. She said she was going to hit bed because her stomach hurt. I said I was sore and tired. I mean, what happened with did you confront her on she actually called an old friend and shared that she cheated on me with a male coworker. I mean, and then you just go into, I returned from the pool. You're losing me, dude. I returned from the pool. She said she was going to hit bed because her stomach hurt. I said I was sore and tired, so I joined her. I told her again that I wasn't trying to be intrusive, but was trying to help, and that I loved her very much. She said, why? See, again, she doesn't believe she should be loved. She doesn't believe she's good enough. That's not your fault. I thought she was saying that playfully, which she had said before. I said, well, let me get out my list. And that's not a playful comment. Women don't, when someone says, I love you, or I love you very much, most people don't say why, unless they're highly insecure. I said, well, let me get out my list. I started telling her little things I noticed and loved about her. 2 reasons in, she starts bawling a very pained cry. I stopped and said, are you okay? What's happening? I told her we should talk about it so we can work it out or something's wrong. She said, if I say it, you'll leave. I immediately asked her if she cheated. Dun, 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 dun. The question would be, were you together long distance when this actually happened, when she was with the coworker, or were you in a gray area where you weren't officially together? My question. She said, yes, that it was just this one time. Male nurse from work, he had been flirting with her. She allowed him to text her. He asked if she wanted to go for a walk while I was in Nashville. She said yes. After that, asked if she wanted to hang out at his house. She said yes, sure. And he came on to her. She didn't stop him. She said it felt wrong, and afterwards, immediately in the bed, she cried. Well, the one good thing here, told you the truth. She told you the truth directly. But now you got to line up. Now you got to line up your boundaries. Like I said, some guys would just go, okay, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Hurts, but it's curtains. Bye-bye. Hurts, but but I'm done, right? Because that's one of those things. You've been sorry, you've been there, you've done a lot of things, you've given in a lot. You got to ask yourself. That's some guys could be like, all right, I can overlook it. That's an individual thing. A lot of people be like, oh, no one can ever give up on that. Some people could. Some other guy could be like, oh, I fucked around on her, I didn't say anything. A bunch of things. But you got to be honest with yourself. Because that later on, that's the kind of thing, when you get in a fight again, it'll bubble up and you'll bring it up. And you'll be like, remember when you fucked around on me? And you won't let it go. Isn't that funny too? Like, she's like, oh, there's something I don't want to tell you. And he's like, did you cheat? Because that's the worst thing. Mm-hmm. When I asked why, that I was not neglectful or unsupportive, when I asked why that I was not neglectful or unsupportive, very validating, she said that he offered me even more validation for her. She knew he liked her, but she couldn't resist the attention from the validation. Almost grass is greener. Dude, you don't even want to know this shit. If your girlfriend fucking cheats on you or goes out with someone else, why? Tell me about him. What's he like? How much money does he make? Don't even go there. I don't want to know any details about the dude. You want to know any of that stuff, Alex? Like, if your girlfriend tells you, like, I hooked up with someone, do you want to know about the guy?
I would say thank you to tell me the truth, and could you please just fuck away from my face? Mm-hmm.
That's very elegant. So, I wouldn't want to know details, because what you're doing here, she cheated on you and you're backpedaling, going, is it my fault? Highly recommend you read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. She said that he offered even more validation for her. Almost grass is greener situation. I believe she was trying to monkey branch. I believe means I don't know. Practicing hypergamy. But she asked me to leave. She wanted me to stay. Of course I didn't. I didn't get violent. I raised my voice a bit. Didn't yell though. I told her it's fucked you to say I did everything right and was perfect for her, yet my attention wasn't enough. And here's the crazy thing, dude. What you believe is enough is not enough for some people. It's like someone was just telling me recently, they're like, oh, you always have to date your woman. You always have to do this. You always have to treat her like that. And I'm like, you could do everything right and someone can still cheat on you or break up with you. Mm-hmm. It can happen.
Yeah.
And it happens with people they work with. And it's very common at a hospital with doctors and nurses. It's very common in university because you're involved with other people you work with that you're in contact with that you will be attracted to. Whether you act on that's up to you. Then someone's like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this to me. It happens. It doesn't mean that, well, the idea that you were perfect, this wasn't about you. This relationship, this is a newsflash for you. There's nothing that you could have done that would fix this woman or create a situation where she could figure out what she wants right now. That was her responsibility to tell her, that it was her responsibility to tell me a coworker was flirting, talking to her. How could I even know he existed otherwise? She agreed. I told her she was a real piece of work, then drove off making 23 hours straight drive from Florida to Minnesota. 23 straight hours? Jeez, man, that's a lot of coffee. In the days after we talked a few times, I had more questions, nothing that really changed anything. She said the grass was not greener. It was AstroTurf. She admitted to having gone to see him after I left because she couldn't think of anything else to turn to, and she thought he truly liked her. That's even worse. So then she goes and tells you afterwards? Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. You don't want to know that stuff, man.
No.
It's fucking done. Dunsky. I left her because she couldn't think of anything else to turn. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. In the days after we talked a few times, I had more questions, nothing that really changed anything. She said the grass was not greener, it was AstroTurf. She admitted to having gone to see him after I left because she couldn't think of anything else to turn to, and she thought he truly liked her while she and I were together. He told her things like, I'll wait for you. You don't even want to know this. Yet on their third hangout, he told her, I love my ex-girlfriend. I'm getting back together with her. I'm so sorry. Instant karma. Admittedly brought me a little joy to hear. You don't want, if your girlfriend ever cheats on you, you don't want to get details, a profile. Guys do this shit all the time, and then they go, oh, this guy's a douchebag. That's number one. This guy's an idiot, or this guy's a dork, or this. It's like, whatever. And what, you're on the sidelines being someone that's like, you turned into a spectator sitting in the cheap seats watching a ball game that you're no longer playing in. Do you understand what I mean by that? It's like you used to be on the field playing ball.
Yeah.
And then now you're in the stands going, "Oh, look at this guy over here. Weak, needy." She mentions anything about that guy, and you shouldn't even be talking to her at this point. She mentions anything about that guy, you go, "Okay." You don't even give her the satisfaction of like, wow, what did he say next? You don't even go there, dude. You just what way are you going to win by getting information on a guy she hooked up with, and you didn't? She told him they couldn't be friends, yet he continued to text her. She couldn't find a way to block him. In my view, he was her only validation. How could she lock him out? Anyway, she had remained in contact. As soon as word hit the streets, I was single. I had dates, women asking for my company. Good for you. Telling me they saw how I treated her, how sexy it was to see a masculine man take care of his woman so well. I mean, it was mind-blowing. Good for you. Could appreciate me for things she couldn't recognize. Good for you. Take a fucking bow. I hope you capitalized on some of this stuff and stopped contacting her. We spoke of meeting up in October in Minnesota, even prior to the breaking up to do fall thing. Why are you still in contact with her? You got women waiting on you. You got other women interested. She broke your heart in so many words, and you still want to meet up and hang out. She flew up. I booked a room. We spent a weekend. I never talked getting back together. She even said, "Did you want to get back together?" She even said when I asked what her plan was, she said, "I need to work on getting better," was encouraging to her here. She cried and shared how ashamed she felt, how she fucked up and lost a man who loved her for her and gave her exactly what she asked for. It was true. Question is, did she give you exactly what you asked for? You keep giving. At some point, I like to receive too, right? It should be reciprocal. I haven't heard you go, "Oh man, she was so good to me." It's this, I really tried to provide her with time and validation. It was never enough. In a healthy relationship, you shouldn't have to validate you shouldn't have to tell your girlfriend or your wife or your partner that they look good all the time. that they're not fat. You shouldn't have to do that. That's not healthy for you either, because you're actually playing into their insecurities and making it worse. Like, she was making up for lost time that weekend. I saw his name pop up, and that's how I found out who he was. Looked into him. Guy was extremely beta. I'm going to tell you right now, it's extremely beta to be looking into a guy that hooked up with your girl, especially when you have, umpteen options. I'm just being real with you. Very soft, according to her even. She said I'm a badass, that he is a very soft and weak guy, not masculine like me or really tough. So I was confused. So at this point, you're going to believe someone that cheated on you and is bigging you up. Up to you. She still hooked up with him. Everyone in my life has pointed out my masculinity, that they feel protected with me. I'm strong, decisive, and caring. Weakest I ever was while accommodating her emotional needs. Yet she cheated with this simp. What's the most masculine thing you could do? Walk away and never look back. I didn't understand, still don't. Well, that's your problem. Let's do a live coaching session, because you need to unpack this, because right now your clarity and you're looking for a meaning. You're looking for, like, why did she cheat on me? Why did she do this? She did it. She was attracted to some guy at work. The guy caught her at the right time in the right place. She was wounded on the savannah, and he went for it. And let's be honest, it only took a day. You calling this guy a bunch of names at the end of this was a 2-party. She was in agreement of hooking up with him, right? She can talk all the shit she wants, but she hooked up with him. The one thing that she did right, and I give her credit for, she told you the truth. A lot of women wouldn't do that. A lot wouldn't. They wouldn't tell you.
Yep.
They wouldn't. So she told you the truth. It didn't work out, but that's the one thing I give her credit for. I didn't understand, still don't. A week after the trip, I did some thinking, watched yours and a few other videos. Craig Kenneth, Coach Lee, Corey Wayne. I decided no contact was best. Yes, it is. As long as I was a rock and shoulder to cry on, she would never get the help needed to move forward and heal from the traumas that brought her here. I felt a little distance anyways. After seeing him text her on the trip, I talked to her October 24th. She asked what's wrong. I told her as long as has an open doorway into your life, I cannot be. So he mentions the guy's name. I'm not saying this is an ultimatum, because if it were, I've already lost. I don't know why you can't lose the door, even after you said you feel he used you. But you must need some closure. I don't understand. That's fine. But I'm choosing to move forward, better my life, and heal. So as of today, I'm walking away. Wow, what a statement.
Finally.
Are you following all this, Danny? Is it an interesting story to you, or what? Are you shocked by some of the events in this story?
Finally, he walked away.
I mean, geez, man. This is turning into a masculine Disney story. She bawled. She said, "What do I have to do what do I have?" So this is the playbook she runs on you, dude. You leave, you talk to someone on Facebook, she feels like you're leaving, then she's all in. That's not the playbook I want to have with my girlfriend. I don't want to have to go to that level to get her attention. Hell no. By the way, this guy's a simp, this guy's this, he's soft, he's beta, he's that, whatever. He hooked up with your girlfriend, that's always going to be on your mind. It obviously hurt you. You don't think he's as good as you. If you get back with this woman and you get in an argument, you're going to bring that shit up again and again, because you're not clear on why she did it. It hurt you. And she gives you details on it. Oh, yeah, he was soft. Oh, yeah, he was this. So it makes you even more like, what the hell? Why'd you do this? So your relationship as of now, over the next year, 6 months, it'll never be the same, because in the back of your head, you'll always be like, you slept with another guy. You won't be able to get that out of your head. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do I have to do to be hopeful for now? What do I have to be hopeful for now? So you regret me. She said, she bawled. She said, what do I have to be hopeful for now? So you regret me too. He regrets me, and now you do so. Wow, she's even talking about the guy she hooked up with when you're breaking up with her? I said that's wrong outlook. This gives you an opportunity to do what you said you were. Seek help and grow. Be free of this stuff. I would stick with just seek help. And who knows what the future might hold for us. But for now, it's time to better ourselves. I told her I love her. And you probably should have said I love you, but I'm not in love. She said the same and then goodbye and have kept no contact since. Heard nothing since. Saw she unfriended me that night on Facebook. I'm a libertarian, and Facebook deleted my profile for political stuff a day later. Anyways, so no big deal. She viewed my snaps once. Don't get involved in the social media crap. Just block her. If you're going to go no contact on all the social media. She viewed my snaps once. That'll drive you nuts. Once or twice first couple of weeks, but not since. So there's my story. I've been dating, no relationships. I know that while single, her need for validation is huge. She either is with this other guy or hitting the streets is my guess. You don't want to guess. You don't want to guess because you don't really know. You don't want to guess. Hitting the streets is really low. She's been hitting the streets. I mean, that's probably the lowest thing you could say. Hard to say. I love her, and not reaching out is killing me. Don't use that language. It's highly dramatic, and it's not true. So reframe that. I love her. I care about her. I did the best I could. I was a good boyfriend. I'm moving forward. See how much better that sounds? If she came back, reformed, and healed, is this something worth forgiving? That's up to you. What I forgive someone for and what you forgive something for is different. Trying to move forward, like I said, are you going to be able to let it go, though? Trying to move forward. We did share an incredible and fun love. Should I forgive her for her past? That's your choice, not mine. Aleph sitting here, Danny sitting here, I'm sitting here. You know, if we had this situation you did, we all might have different outlooks depending on who we are and what our connection is. That's up to you. Someone would be like, you can't forgive her for that. That's a choice. If you think that in 6 months she comes back, she had therapy, you want to give it another go, and you can let go, it can't be a shoulda, coulda. It has to be like, all right, I'm going to let that go. It was one mistake. She told me the truth. You can't be looking into the guy's past or anything like that. That's a choice you got to make on the time that she comes back. Question, her traumas, she's got to deal with those. She's got to get help. Because knowing how the stuff affects a person, I want to be understanding yet insightful upon change. I'm not sure what to do if she comes back. Personally, I believe it's when. Yeah, there's a strong possibility this one will come back, but you're going to have the same playbook run again and again. She's going to love you, then not love you, then love you, then not love you. You got the distance as an issue. You got the parents as an issue. Why don't you give yourself an opportunity as a masculine man who's been dating other women and has high interest to find someone equal or higher value, go through the pain of 3 months of hardcore no contact, 4 months of hardcore no contact, and see where you're at in 2, 3, 4 months and see how you feel about things. You need to let the smoke clear on this one. I'd highly recommend that you want to do a live coaching session. I'll give you your money back if you don't find it useful or helpful. But you might want to unpack this a little bit deeper because you're hung up on some things that will hurt you moving forward in your dating world. And thanks for coming across me on Instagram and liking my posts. It's appreciated. Hope to hear from you soon. No problem, bud.
And his great story too.
He wrote a good story.
Yep.
I do appreciate that. I do really appreciate that.
He got to be a really, really nice guy that could be listening what she said to him.
The crazy thing though, Aleph, you can be a nice guy. You can do everything right. We could read that story. He could be a hero. The girlfriend's going to have a different story.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still not have a relationship work out because people, some people are damaged. Chris Boutron, are you still on? How you doing, bud? Are you the one that's going to the punting school for football? Rosanna Harmielo, this chick could be a narcissist. Maybe he thinks he has no other options, so he just accepts the cheating. Well, he said he has other options. I think he's in love with her. What's really interesting about people that have a lot of confidence, I've talked to people that are high achievers, make a lot of money sometimes, they fix problems in their life. They take responsibility. When they have someone like this, they constantly keep trying to fix them because they think they're good at fixing other things. People aren't fixable. Your house, your car is fixable. You know why? Because it's like, oh, here's the part.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. There's no feelings involved. The car's not going to go, I don't want you to change that part. I still like that part. It's still workable. Humans aren't like that. Why wouldn't a human being that's a nurse go and get therapy or go to a counselor? Could be money, could be embarrassment. Like I said, someone goes, oh, I want to go talk to someone. It's still not easy. I think that one thing that's changing right now, when I talk to people on the phone with live coaching sessions, There's a lot of value when someone gets to talk from their room, that they don't have to walk through an office and like you feel like, okay, I'm meeting someone in a room. Feels uncomfortable for some people. But she's not going to change. But this is a big thing, though, guys do. Once they get cheated on one time, they start researching the person and how much of an idiot the other guy is. You don't know that guy. It's like whenever I've had a new girlfriend in the past, anything that comes up about her ex-boyfriend, I don't want to know too many details. I'm not going to talk shit about the guy. I'm not going to. That's over. It's done. It's dusted. You know. I don't have any bitter feelings about my ex-girlfriends. I don't talk shit about them. That's a reflection of you. All right, folks, that was a long letter. I think that was almost 50 minutes. Let me know if you have any questions with the 8 people on deck. 2 likes. Thank you for the likes. Donations are welcome. Rob writes, I love you? Why? Yeah, that's not the right thing to say in that instance.
I love you? Where is the love? What is the love? What the love is? How is love?
I missed the start with your groovy tune. Everyone likes the new music. You guys want to hear it? Drop it real quick. There you go.
Fender Bender, Bad Snack.
Yeah. Fender Bender, Bad Snakes. Bad Snacks.
Bad Snack, yeah.
I'll put it up there. The longest letter. I don't mind if someone writes a long letter if it's detailed and you can follow it. I mean, it wasn't. Totally don't mind. He obviously read on my website. I give directions, and he obviously looked at the directions and followed them because that story was detailed, and that's how you get better help, dude. I mean, the more details, the better. Some people are worried about looking good or looking bad. Man, you're great. Thanks for all your content. Right on, Night Raven. Accept nothing less than genuine desire. Yeah, when 2 people have very different versions of love, typically it doesn't work out. What's up, Jen? How are you? Sounds like a FA. What's an FA? Jen, are you still on? You're right, Mac. I love those words. She needs to appreciate you. It's been a long time since I've caught a Mac live. I'm working from home again. I hope to catch more. I just haven't been on as much. Hey, Coach. Hey, everybody. Jeff DeLisandro. How you doing, Jeff? I would leave her alone for a while. Test her and love her. Test her. Let her miss you. What's up, Johnny, if you're still on? Happily Ever After. Hello. I'm guessing Azam and Derek are out. Brilliant tunes. Thanks for playing, Craig M says. That's a free song you can use. All right, folks. Any closing questions? We got 7 on deck and 3 likes. If you want to send in your story to writemac.com and get it read on a YouTube video like this, that's available. And I'll fully unpack it. You got any closing words on that, Aleph, with all your wisdom at 23?
No. Just his story is so stunning me. How he could stand with that girl.
You know what it is? It's a good question because from the outside in, you're like, why didn't he just leave? You know, or
yeah, because at least she told you the truth that she's cheating on you. Do you think that she's good enough to stay with? I'm sorry to say that. I didn't say that she is bitch or not, but if you have opportunity, just find someone else better.
But here's the thing: his feelings, he loves her.
I know.
And they've had so many good times. That's what people get lost. Is like from the outside, someone will be like, "Oh man, you just got to dump her, get your balls back, this or that." I'll pick my spots in the story where I'm like, that's why it's so good to write your story. Like, this is a part where you need to have balls or dignity. But to be fair, when you deal with someone like this and they love you and you have good intimacy and you have a good time, and then you think like, wow, everything's so great, and then there's a letdown. You're like, what happened?
Yeah, the thing is, after he know that she cheat on him, and he keep that relationship go on, it could grow the cancer to relationships, because he will think about it later and later that she cheat on him like that. Yeah.
Well, the other thing's in the favor. If you're long distance now, it's easier to get into no contact and stay in no contact because you don't come in each other's path.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to give it some time. The thing that people don't want to do is just go. You got to go through. Wrong, Chris. You got to go through the hurting part. That's what people don't want to do. There's a part where you got to go through the part where, like, for a month and a half, 3 weeks, that you're in pain, that you miss them. Like, it's just like if someone wanted to quit cigarettes, like the first 3 weeks would probably be really difficult, right? So it's the same kind of thing, and some people don't want to go through that. They want to keep talking to them. Chris, how are you doing, by the way? Have you sent in your story before? Your name sounds familiar.
Yeah. When we're gonna break up with someone, it's like we addict something, right? Because we need to take time to take it off in our blood.
Well, it depends on how much you spent time together, too, and what you got from them. Some people get different things from people. Everyone thinks about intimacy and love and affection, but sometimes people get security. If it was the main person you came home from work and that's who you talked to about your day. I remember, like, one of my breakups, it was just like, that's the person you lived with. So some bad news happens, some good news happens, you call them first. That's a void that you're not used to when you break up. That makes you go, fuck, I miss them. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. It's been wonderful. It's going to be curtains. We did an hour and 16 minutes here. I'll be back on deck tomorrow. If you want to check out my Instagram, it's Coach Mac McCarthy. If you want to go to the website, it's writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. You can send in your story or book a live coaching session. Otherwise, have a good evening, good day, or good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.